Well, okay. Hello, my friends. And I'm happy to participate in this project, this Rigby project. If this becomes useful for someone, what I'd like to talk about first, because I didn't know what I was going to say when asked to do this, is I'm remembering back to my mid-20s when I had a serious heroin problem, um, and I was in the state of ODing. And as I knew if I closed my eyes, I would no longer be in this world, I happened to close my eyes, and suddenly I found myself looking down upon my own dead body lying in my parents' house, realizing that the body that was lying on the floor wasn't me. And obviously, I was not dead, whatever it is I was and I am, and I've discovered that since then. But the thing that I realized in that instant was that my life wasn't over, nor was the suffering I was trying to bring about an end to, because I realized at any point in time my parents were about to walk into their room and think that was their son lying on the floor dead, and they would be in the state of shock, and they would be dismayed, and they would be very unhappy and miserable, and I would still have the memory of recognizing them being unhappy and miserable, and there would be more misery rather than the ending of the suffering that I thought I was bringing an end to through the use of my drug. So death isn't going to solve the problem, and it doesn't matter how many times we try it and what different forms we try it. All death eventually is death by our own hand, be it through old age, because we haven't realized that we can't die, and we deplete ourselves through trying to attempt to live in a world that isn't our home, or through a direct sort of taking of our own life. Suicide just is not going to solve the problem. Death doesn't solve the problem, but mostly because we don't know what the actual problem is until we discover what life is. Until we have that direct connection within ourselves. Most of us, just about everybody, at some point in time in their own life, has said, "I wish I'd be better off dead." And that's mostly because of the disconnect that we all have. None of us, many of us feel, people call it alienation, you can call it separation, you can call it dissociation. We're just not connected within ourselves to our soul, to the source of life, and therefore we're not connected to our brothers and sisters and family and friends, because we're just projecting out and in a condition. And many of us who get to the point where suicide seems to be an option get there because we just don't feel like we belong. And in a true sense, we don't belong living in this world. We belong living in a reality that's eternal, infinite, and composed of only love in that sense. And one of the things that we begin to offer for those of us who have found the solution through some sort of spiritual experience is the recognition that buried deep within all of us is that life, is that love, and it is making that connection within ourselves that allows us to open our minds and our hearts to make the connection with our brothers and sisters who are likewise suffering, and offer them a moment respite when they're finding themselves in a condition or a position of feeling alienated, not feeling like they belong, not feeling like they have any place to go, not feeling like anything in the world is going to satisfy them. And all those things are true. I want to let you recognize that those are all true feelings. They're useful. They don't have to cause death, but they are useful in what my friend Dave was speaking of, in being willing to release ourselves from the view of the world we've had, so that we could find a real life that's living within all of us, just waiting for us to open up infinite potentialities, infinite possibilities of a new way of living here, as the solution to the problem of separation and the dilemma of alienation that many of our brothers and sisters are finding themselves in while they're going about their daily life. Living in quiet desperation, living with the pain of dim awareness that there's something else. There is something else. There's many ways to find it. The way eventually that all of us find it is through something we call forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't a definition, it's an action in our mind that allows us to let go of that which isn't true and isn't real and open to what is true and is real. And in a sense, that's the way we all find God eventually. When I say God, I'm not talking about a religious God. I'm talking about an infinite, loving, eternal reality that we're part of and cannot not be part of. It's impossible to be separate from everything, yet it is quite possible to think we are and experience the feelings that tell us that we are, and in the desperation, try to end those feelings through ending our life. Um, it doesn't work. I'm here to tell you it's not going to work. Um, I'm also here to tell you that if you have a loved one who has attempted this and try this, the worst thing in the world you can do is feel guilty and have regrets, thinking there was something you could do to change that person's mind without changing your own mind about what you're all about and the life that you're living. In that sense, we can all take this moment right here, right now, and allow something new to dawn upon ourselves. It's not difficult. There are many tools in the world that have been given to us from a divine source to help us do it. Many of us use A Course in Miracles. The lessons of A Course in Miracles in the beginning sounds like suicide note. Nothing I see means anything. I've given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. And in that sense, it is the death knell of an old way of living and the opening to a new way of living by living from within rather from without, not allowing that which we seem to be looking at outside to be our cause, but joining within ourselves with our true cause, thereby ending the alienation, ending the separation within ourselves, recognizing where life really comes from, and living a life from being centered in reality, centered in love. Let's call God love. Not human love, but only love. Let's call God, He's the totality of reality, which is all the love that there is, outside of which there's nothing, and within which there's nothing to conflict with it. We can all learn to do that. There's simple breathing techniques. We need to begin to offer the youth something other than the educations that they're getting in the world today. Something added to that brings a new way of understanding themselves. And as us as adults begin to offer it to those who seem to be younger than us, our children, we will all learn together of the new possibilities that exist in our ability to live right here, right now, in an entirely different way. That's what I would like to see begin to happen. And that's what I hope that you can take away from this short video that I've been asked to submit to help if I can. I've been there. I've been on all sides of this coin. Death does not solve the problem, only the recognition that life is eternal and we can live from the eternity and infinity of our life right here and right now. And that eternal life is centered and based in the love that is beyond the ability for the human mind to recognize, but not beyond the ability for you to recognize, come to know, and then participate in, because you already are, right here and right now.